What's shaking, folks? Back with another reaction, and I am indeed back with another tune from the Hana Nochi Hare score, a show and soundtrack from 2018, which again has four different composers, but this is another tune by Ohmama Takashi, and it translates to, it's another one written in, I think, kanji or hiragana, but it is Being Yourself. So I feel like this track could apply to multiple people in the show, but for me specifically at least, I most notably associate it with Haruto Kaguragi, a character who is essentially the domyoji of this show, though they are very different characters, and the degree to which I think Haruto is sympathetic right from the beginning is much greater than Domyoji at the beginning of the first season of Hanayori Dango, where he is a very unethical person and a bully and someone who devalues others. Now, over the course of Hanayori Dango, Domyoji becomes a much better person because of his association with Makino Tsukushi. But Haruto, despite having some personality flaws and trying to live up to standards of multiple other people, including himself, but also for his parents, for the F4, who he sees as these legends of Etoku Academy that preceded him, he is, again, a sweeter character from the very beginning, and I think there are moments where he has breakthroughs, again, not unlike Domyoji, but in a different context, where he realizes that rather than trying to live up to unreasonable expectations, the best course of action is really to be himself. Now, again, I think this could apply to Edogawa Oto, the main female character, the Makino Tsukushi analog of the sequel show. But yes, for me personally, I most closely associate this with Kaguragi Haruto. And ultimately, it's a piano-based theme, which it does swell and get more, what's the right word, pronounced or dramatic, but much of it is very light and soft and intimate, which speaks to the idea of being in your own head and trying to figure whether really it's best just to be yourself and to not worry about what other people think or to try to live up to the expectations of those who may not have your best interest at heart. So I really do think it is a fitting tune sonically and narratively. So let's give it a listen. This is a track by Ohmama Takashi. The track is, or translates to, Being Yourself, and it's from the 2018 soundtrack to Hana Nochi Hare. Gorgeous, exquisite. Again, it's mainly that intimate piano, but of course it swells with strings, and I think there are some deeper, like organ or keyboard chords behind some of the piano work. But yes, again, I think it speaks very well to inner emotional reflection. I think, of course, it also relates to connections and relationships between characters outwardly because you be yourself in the context of interacting with other people. So, yes, I think it speaks to both an inner emotion and an external or outward emotion toward other people, and maybe specifically Haruto and Edogawa. And of course, that also means other folks are involved. Tenma Hase-kun and Megurin, which is sort of like a nickname, not unlike Nodame, which is Noda Megumi. I think it's like Megumi, and I forget what her surname is, which again in Japanese they typically say in reverse. The family name comes first, then the given name. But yes, there are other people involved in the complicated emotions of the show, so I don't think it's just the two leads, but a wider web of emotion that is being referenced here, though, as I said, I do associate this most notably with Haruto and with a good luck charm that he has, which is essentially a pig holding like a pearl. I don't know if it's in the episodes I've already posted. I've posted up to episode 6, but I have shot 7 and 8. And at some point it gets named Washington, does this little good luck charm pig. So, yes, I think of Haruto looking at, holding, or otherwise reflecting upon Washington and the journey that that little talisman or trinket takes. And yes, again, it's a wonderful show with a fantastic soundtrack, and I'm currently doing a watch along of it on my Patreon, so I'll put a link in the descriptions for this reaction and the previous one I did in the same batch. Do let me know what you think. Thank you to those who've been watching on Patreon, most notably Michaela and Dawn, but again, some of the videos are getting a number of clicks or plays where people aren't commenting, so I assume there are some people watching. And also, I did want to note, there's someone who liked a couple of the Kurakochi watch-along installments that I did. Like, they liked them recently, even though that watch-along was done over the course of last year. So, again, there are people checking out the J-drama watch-alongs who aren't commenting, so even if you don't comment, I do appreciate it, though of course I welcome all those to offer their insights or just their feedback, their opinions on the different episodes and shows. But as I said, right now Hana Nochi Hare is going on my Patreon, and I will be finishing it in the coming weeks, so I hope you'll be there for it. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.